Growing up with parents who expect a lot of you is stressful, especially when you can't meet all of what they expect. Not meeting their expectations sometimes turn into arguments, yelling, and being told I didn't try enough, all of which made me panic and stress even more. Over the years, I stopped telling my parents more and more out of fear of being told I could change the outcome, but I was just lazy. This was especially the case with grades and homework. If it took me a long time to do it or I didn't get the grade I wanted, I would be told I didn't do enough because I didn't care. Then eventually I started taking my phone, video games, and TV away if I ever had a grade below 90. When those are my ways of keeping my mental health in check, it becomes increasingly stressful on a daily basis. As classes gave me more homework, I told my parents less and less about when I did have it. If I did have homework, I often did it late at night when my parents couldn't know what I was doing other than sleeping. This soon transferred to other topics, even daily topics about how my day was or how I was feeling. Most encouraged when my parents would get after me for my responses. Until one day I decided I would start standing up for myself. It wasn't a good idea. Being a kid who had it nailed in their brain that I needed to follow what adults said, I didn't have a good reaction when they started yelling at me. It made me panic and shut down. I couldn't even respond when it felt like I was choking on my own words. More than anything, it made me feel alone. But I kept it up hoping they would see my side of the story. But they didn't. It only worsened my case over the weeks as I continued to fight it, until I eventually gave up. Sooner rather than later, I reverted to how I was. I didn't let anyone in, and those who did, I pushed them away and shut them out of my life because I wanted to protect them from the thoughts that ran in my head. Despite not going through the cycle of fighting my parents, the effects would leave its mark on me. Last year, I had a horrendous teacher who would ring her bell when we were loud, instead of actually confronting us. Now, at the time, I didn't know that effects of my parents yelling left any effect. So when she rang her bell, it came to me as a surprise. It was a vicious ring, angrily banging to each side of my head. It rang in my head and reminded me exactly of the sounds of my parents. Then again, I choked up and couldn't speak. I was helpless. The cycle repeated for a bit, until finally my parents grew tired of me not talking about general things to them. Instead of yelling, it was different this time. They got me a therapist. Generally, though, I didn't like new people, so I tried to get them to reconsider, but they ignored me this time. When I met my therapist, she was kind-hearted and never doubted me. We always talked in the same room. It was small, but it was a cozy size and always smelled of vanilla. A good majority of the time, it made me feel tired and relaxed. A safe place. I didn't like her, but she helped me understand what I was going through. It took me more than a couple of months to trust her, but in the end, it was worth not giving up. I remember her leading me through my own maze of thoughts, slowly but surely. Everything seemed normal until the words slipped out of her mouth. Could it be that your parents are expecting too much of you? To this day, I still haven't told my parents about it, because I never want them to know that they messed me up or gave me anxiety. It was especially easy to hide it since my therapist had a rule that what we say inside the session stays inside. It helped me be more confident and honest about what I was saying. Besides, I know that it's a kind of guilt they never get over. Part of me thinks they wouldn't believe me either. Now, even though I know that part of me changed, not for the better, and I will never be the same, it's nice to know it's not an abnormality, especially now since I know the demons under my bed.